Alright, so here I am at work. I've already voted. I voted for third party, basically other. Doesn't really matter because your vote does not count. That's right, you can vote for whoever you want. If we all remember the 2000 election, Al Gore won the popular vote. But he didn't get it, did he? Look, we had Bush in there. Well, I'm not going to touch on the Bush regime, the Council on Foreign Relations, or the neo-Nazi group that, all of his staff members were part of. They released a document, Rebuilding America's Defense as a Strategic Guide, blah, blah, blah. Basically outlined everything that was going to happen. They were going to have a terrorist attack, a new Pearl Harbor. We had that. That was September 11th. And they were going to fight and win multiple wars on two different fronts. We fought two wars, but we ain't won them yet. Really no reason to go after bin Laden anyway. Last time I checked, wasn't bin Laden one of our friends? The Mujahideen back in the 80s fighting the Russians? Oh well, I guess, it just goes to show you. CIA asset one day, enemy the next. Go figure. Same thing with Saddam Hussein. We pissed Iran off. Iran kicked us out, kidnapped some students, whatever. Saddam Hussein, lesser of two evils. We supported his side, gave him American weapons. By the way, we gave him a whole bunch of chemical weapons they actually used to gas his own people. And then Bush said, we have to invade Iraq, weapons of mass destruction, couldn't find any. Gee, last time I checked, we gave it to them. Where'd they go? Oh, they must have sold them, needed some money or anything. But let's get on to the topic of Election 08. We have Barack Hussein Obama, possibly not an American citizen, running for president. And then we have John McCain, or as most people call him, Bush 44. He's just going to, carry on Bush's policies out for the next, 4, 8 years if he gets elected. Right now, according to the polls, it does look like Barack Obama is going to be elected. So what do we have to look forward to when Barack Obama is elected? Well, we're going to have the first African-American president, not a bad thing. We're going to have the first president with the middle name Hussein, which is kind of interesting. But more importantly, we're going to have a socialist as a president. He's already told Joe DePlummer that he plans on the redistributing of wealth. Now, I'm not a rich guy. I'm not a poor guy. I'm in the middle class, but, I worked pretty hard to get to where I'm at, and I know a lot of people that have a lot more money than I do worked hard to get to where they're at, too. Some of them, yes, they were born with a silver spoon in their mouth or, a friggin' golden fork up their ass, however you want to call it. But then there's people out there that are poor in the poverty level and, they need welfare, food stamps, and, they're just what I'd like to call either very unfortunate or very lazy. Enough about that. Back on to the election. So we have the Republican and the Democrat. Well, from what I've seen on most of the state levels, most of the national election levels with your senators and your representatives, it's kind of hard to really tell the difference between what the Republicans and what the Democrats actually stand for. So I've just started calling them Replubicratcs. Yep, Replubicratcs. They're the same thing to me. You have independents that are in Congress. Not very many of them. But I feel that most of our elected officials have actually lost touch with what the Constitution of the United States means. First off, you spend more money investigating the sex life of President Clinton than you did on investigating 9/11. That sucks. Yeah, I like to know that all my tax dollars I paid back in the 90s went to see if President Clinton got a blowjob or not in the White House. Okay, he was a president. Probably didn't act, presidential during that period of time. But, that was a private incident and a private life. Now, I'm not saying that politicians are entitled to private life while in office, but things that happen behind closed doors between two consenting adults, whether it is adultery or not, is their business. They got a problem with it, get a divorce. Moving on from that, the 9/11 attacks. Okay, so we had a couple of hijackers with box cutters hijack a plane and hit 75% of their targets. Okay, we don't have smart bombs that can hit 75% of the targets that we aim them at. So that kind of seems like we had some sort of involvement on some level by the government because it was allowed to happen. I mean, could Arab hijackers tell NORAD to stand down? That's a pretty interesting question because NORAD was told to stand down. Then you got Vice President Dick Cheney, who don't ever go hunting with this guy, he'll shoot you in the face. He's in the bunker and telling Norman Mineta, the transportation guy, hey, you know, blah, 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 the plane's this far out, the plane's that far out. Does the order still stand? Of course. Dick Cheney looks at the guy, of course. Have you heard anything to the contrary? Norman Mineta's sitting there scratching his head like, what the hell's the order he's talking about? But anyway, the order he was talking about is he didn't warn the Pentagon. The plane was fixing to crash into it, and, you know, a bunch of innocent people got killed in the Pentagon. Of course, there's a debate whether a plane actually hit the Pentagon, and if it did, why did the facility with more cameras than any other government facility on this planet only catch it from a parking lot camera? You know, if you're going to say a plane hit it, show us the plane. I mean, we all saw the ones that hit the Twin Towers. Kind of funny how they fell all exactly the same, even though they're hitting different spots, they all fell the same. And then, you know, later on that day, 5 o'clock, World Trade Center 7 kind of fell down, similar. Didn't get hit by a plane. Of course, they just released the final NIST report on World Trade Center 7, and they said the reason it fell down was because of fire. Okay, let's believe the official story. It fell down because of fire. You know what that means? That means every steel frame high-rise structure in this country is at risk of the same structural collapse due to fire. That's scary. Of course, that's probably not the case, because if it was, they'd be retrofitting all of these buildings, so we know that's not the case. So they kind of fudged the numbers and lied about that. Controlled demolitions? Who knows? Some people said they heard it going off, other people said they didn't. But I'm going way off on a wild tangent. I ought to save it for another video. What matters right now is you have a decision to make if you haven't already made the decision to vote. You have one vote. It doesn't count. Really, to do the research. Electoral college, popular vote, doesn't count. So instead of wasting your time voting for Barack Obama or John McCain, vote for somebody else. I don't care who. Just option C. Write other. Write in Mickey Mouse's name. Because that's the only way that we're going to send a message to the people in charge that we know what they're up to, and we're not going to take it anymore. You know, I really wish Ron Paul would have got in as an independent, because I would have voted for him in a second, because he does have some very good ideas. There's some other people that have good ideas. Bob Barr, Cynthia McKinney. They have fantastic ideas how to fix what's going on in this country right now. You know, step one is get rid of the Federal Reserve. Put the power back in the hands of the government to issue money without interest. Because right now, the federal government has to borrow money from the Federal Reserve and pay interest on it. That's one of the oldest sins in the Bible. It's called usury. They call it interest, but it's a sin. Not to go on a religious rant. But anyway, that's one of the big problems with the country. So now you have 8 days left to go vote. 8 days to make this decision. If you already haven't made that decision and voted like I did, absentee. If you want Barack Obama to be president, he's probably going to be president. If you want John McCain to be president, he's probably not. I don't think picking Sarah Palin, the bobblehead from Alaska who can see Russia from her house, doesn't seem like the best choice to me. But no matter what your reserves are, enough people are going to vote for Barack Obama, enough people are going to vote for McCain. Choose a third party. Thank you.